Okay. We finished in our earlier session. Whoops, sorry. We finished in our earlier session until the words right. We said that we've stopped at the words nazvehu lehargel ונניחהו למצוות אנשים מצוות אנשים מלומדה. That we are going to, so let me just recap. How can we relegate to habit something that's so important? It's so important for us to know all about Yirat Hashem, for us to understand what Yirat Hashem is. We say, and this is a recap, Reshit Chachma Yirat Hashem, the beginning of all Chachmot, the very beginning, the Reshit, the maturity of all Chachma is Yirat Hashem. So, and that's on either Gimel or page number 3 in the Feldheim, and it's on Hay, 3 lines down in the Hebrew edition. So we say, Im lo nistakalnu v'lo iyenu, mahi hayira hamitit. If we don't look at it, and if we don't explore what true yira is, uma anafer, and what all those branches of yira might be, ech nikne ota. How are we going to acquire it? Ve'ech nimlat min hahevel ha'olami ha'mishakeach ota milibeno. And how are we going to instill it in ourselves when the world tries to distract it out of us? Alo tishkach v'telech al pi sheyadanu chovata? Are we not going to go in that way and just forget all about it? Ava gamken, and love of Hashem also. Im lo nishtadel likboa ota b'libenu b'koach kol ha'emtzeiyim hamagi'im otanu lazeh. If we don't make the effort to instill Avat Hashem in our hearts, so that we can know what it's all about, how can we not even try to establish it within us? So how are we going to be able to find it within us? מאין יבוא הדבקות וההתלהטות בנפשותנו עמו יתברך ועם תורתו. So how are we then going to instill the dvekut, the closeness to Hashem, and our development of everything that Hashem has given us, both in Torah and in mitzvot? Im lo nish'eh el gedulato ve'el ramamuto asher yolid b'libenu hadvekut hazeh. If we don't put it in there, it's up to us. It's up to us to do what we need to do in order to instill yira, ahava, and dvekut into ourselves. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. Ech tithar machshavotenu im lo nishtadel lenakota. How are we going to purify our thoughts if we don't even try to get a handle on taking the impurities out? Min hamumin shemetil ba hateva hagufani, and from those usual things that we do, our instinctual things that we might do, that belie the impurity, that take away the impurity. We have to actually work at it. He's saying this doesn't come naturally. It's not inborn. It's there, but we have to reach it. It's inborn, but it's deep down. We have to reach it. We have to do the work of reaching it in order to be able to allow it to grow and flower within us. Amidot. And our midot, our character. Kulam tzrichot kol kach tikun v'heshara. Those things that need so much work. Mi yashrem u'mi yitakneim. Who's going to straighten them out? And who's going to fix all of those defects in our character if we don't pay attention to it? If we don't pay proper attention, had we set ourselves the goal of really looking into it, היינו מוצאים אותו על אמיתו ומטיבים לעצמנו ומלמדים אותו לאחרים ומטיבים להם גם כן. If we are going to look for and find all of those abilities that are within us to fix those midot, how are we going to teach that to other people? How are we going to tell them about it? How are we going to teach it to ourselves? And how are we going to teach it to others? And entablish them in the right way. היינו מוצאים אותו על אמיתו ומטיבים לעצמנו ומלמדים אותו לאחרים ומטיבים להם גם כן. So we want to be able to not only fix it in ourselves for ourselves, but also we want to be able to teach it to others. Because as we said before, we said earlier today, that the best way of learning something is to teach it. Hu ma she'amar Shlomo. Shlomo HaMelech said, Im tevakshena kakesef v'kamatmonim techapesna, oz tavin yirat Hashem. If you want to look for it, scrabble for it, make yourself so interested in it, that you're going to look for it in the same way that you would look for a buried treasure. If you knew that there was a buried treasure implanted in some space, somewhere close by, wouldn't you go and take your shovel and dig and take out all the stops in order to find that treasure? So Shlomo HaMelech, Eino Omer Oz Tavim Philosophia, doesn't say that you're going to find philosophy, Oz Tavim Tchuna, then you're going to find technical assignments, Oz Tavim Refuah, then you're going to know all about medicine, Oz Tavim Dinim, and again going through the whole list. You're not going to find all of those philosophies and understandings that take a lot of study. But if you learn Torah, and if you throw yourself into Torah, and you throw yourself into the learning of Yira, Ahava, and Veikut, then all of these other subjects that you would otherwise spend years on are going to come to you automatically. How is it that so many of our Gedolim knew so much more? I remember the stories told of the Chazon Ish. Someone came to the Chazon Ish and said to him, I need an operation, and the surgeon has told me that he's going to do this, that, and the next thing. And the Chazon Ish said, go back to your surgeon. And he drew a picture and he said, tell your surgeon that I think it would be better if he did this in this and this way. How did he know? Through learning. But how did he know? Through learning. And the same thing goes for the way that we put ourselves out to learn our midot, to learn what's inside of us, to learn those teshukot that we have, to learn those subjects that interest us. To learn psychology, you can learn it from Torah also. Os tavin yirat Hashem. How? Because you'll know about through yiras Hashem. When you Ella, os tavin yirat Hashem. But if you go through Torah, and you go through fixing your midot, and you go through developing your yirat Hashem, and you go through developing your avat Hashem, and you go through developing dveikut, then all of these other things are going to come to us as well. Harei lecha shelahavin hayira tzarich levakesh ota kakesef ulechapes ota kematmonim. If we want to learn Yira, we have to do it as though it's a buried treasure and go into it so deeply until we find those hidden spots. Harei efo, b'ma shemelumad lanu me'avotenu, b'ma shemeforsam etzel kol ben dat derech klal. And then, in the way that our forefathers had learned it and have publicized it, through knowing through Da'at Hashem. Remember that we said, what is Deya? Deya is the intimate knowledge that a husband and a wife, through which a husband and a wife know each other. When we study Ava, Yira, and Dveikut, then we can feel that oneness with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like our Avot did. הנמצא זמן לכל שאר חלקי העיון ולעיון הזה לא יהיה זמן? Are we going to spend all our time on all the other subjects that we learn and not spend time on Musar? Is it possible that we would do that? למה לא יקבע האדם לעצמו עתים לפחות להסתכלות הזה? Why shouldn't a person put time aside to learn through these Musar principles and to devote some time for that? The Rosh Yeshiva, the Saba Mislabotka, I think, and all the Gedolei Hador said that they would take Mesillat Yesharim and learn through it. They would learn through it once, twice, three, many times, sometimes once a week even, go through it all. Or before going out to do whatever it is they wanted to do, they would take the Mesillat Yesharim and learn through some of it. Im muchrachu b'she'eri tzmano lefanot el iyunim o el asakim acherim. Is it possible that a person would devote themselves to all the other subjects and not look into this? Because the midot, the yirat Hashem, avat Hashem, and dveikut b'Hashem, those are the things that bring us closest to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'hinei katuv omer, and in Eov, the pasuk says, Hein yirat Hashem hi chochma. When we get to the point of Yirat Hashem, not just the fear of Hashem, but the awe of Hashem, the reverence to Hashem, that is where we find Chochmah. V'amru Rabbeinu zichronam livracha, and our Chazal tell us in the Gemara and Shabbos, Hein, Echat, Hein, which is one, Harei shehayira hi Chochmah. The two, Yira and Chochmah, are one. V'hi levada chokhmah. Yira is chokhmah. Vadai she'en nikra chokhmah, ma she'en bo iyun. Something that doesn't take a lot of work cannot be wisdom. So therefore, if we develop that kind of relationship with Yira, it brings us to the point of wisdom. The truth is that we have to know all of these subjects properly and know them inside out. And not through imagination, and not through things that lead us astray. More so to acquire them and to gain a hasaga, a deep knowledge of what they're all about. מי שיתבונן בם יראה שאין החסידות תלוי באותם הדברים שיחשבו המתחסדים הטיפשים. When they get to it, people will realize that Hasidut is not this, and he calls them the silly things that people do in order to think that this is going to be what is going to acquire Hasidut for them. Hasidut takes work. It takes work. It takes attention. It takes careful months and months of careful decisions on how to do things, and not just say, oh, I'm going to just fast. Yes, there's a place for fasting. Or I'm just going to roll in the snow. Yes, there's a place for all these different things. I'm not saying there's not. But in order to acquire it, lehasig otam, and to reach it so that it goes into the inner depths of who we are, you can only do it through knowing this in its completeness, the shlemut, but the true shlemut, having worked through it, having taken it step by step. You can't get to Hasidut after doing something once or twice. You have to go through each and every step. And Ramchal is going to tell us how to get there and what the plan is, because there's a methodology that goes on behind it. Hu Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom lamdenu b'amro Ba'ata Yisrael, ma Hashem Elokecha sho'el me'imcha, ki im liyir'a et Hashem Elokecha, ללכת בכל דרכיו, לאהבה אותו, לעבוד את השם אלוקיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך, לשמור מצוות השם וחוקותיו. This is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu when he said that what does Hashem want of us? What does Hashem request? Me'imcha. In Micha, there's a pasuk that says, Adam, ma Hashem doresh mimcha. What does Hashem want from you? Here it says, ma Hashem Elokecha sho'el. What is Hashem requesting? Me'imcha. Im is from the deep down within you. Im liyir'a et Hashem Elokecha. To fear or to hold in reverence Hashem your God. Lalechet b'chol drachav. To take the path, to walk the path of his ways. La'ava oto. By doing, it brings us to ahava. V'la'avod et Hashem Elokecha. and to serve Hashem your God, b'chol levavcha, not b'chol libcha, not with one part of your heart, but levavcha, the two parts that we talked about, the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara that we have fixed to be Tov, ub'chol nafshecha, and with all of your nefesh, lishmor mitzvot Hashem ve'et chukotav, so that we safeguard. Lishmor is to safeguard. There are two ways to look at keeping something. There's the teacher who will tell the student, I'm going to give you a prize at the end of the week if you behave. And every time the class misbehaves, the teacher puts a small tick next to the name of the person in the class, and next to the class comes the end of the week. The teacher says, well, you didn't do what I asked you to do, so in that case, you're not getting the prize. There's another teacher who does the same thing. And this is a word from Rabbi Milevsky, Zichrono Livracha, when he talks in the Haggadah, Baruch Shomer Havtachato Yisrael Baruch Hu. Why Shomer Havtachato? Why Shomer? Why is it Lishmor Mitzvotav? Because Hashem says to us, let's take the example of the teacher. The teacher says, okay, I'm going to give you a prize if you behave. And as she sees that the class is beginning to misbehave, she says, remember the prize. Remember the prize. And the next time they try to misbehave, remember the prize. And of course, instantly, there's quiet, or there's whatever she asks of them. Hashem does that for us. Lishmor, we have to safeguard. Not just take note of the fact that we do it, but to safeguard it. To do it with an ahava, to want to do it. Kan klal kol chelkei shleimut havodah hanirtzeit l'shem yitbarach. And this is how you get to the avodah that is needed for Hashem. Hayira, the Yirat Hashem, halicha bidrachav, and then following in the pathway that Hashem has set, that takes us to ha'ahava, to the love of Hashem, which then brings us to shleimut halev, which brings us to that oneness, to that completion within ourselves. Remember the coal. We have to take that coal and blow the ashes off and find the fiery embers, ushmirat kol mitzvot, because that is what is going to safeguard that we do the mitzvot of Hashem. So, in Ma Hashem Doresh Mimcha, the Malbim says that Hashem, this can be juxtaposed to the pasuk of Hatznei Lechet im Hashem Elokecha, that understanding of Hashem comes through humility in the following ways. What a person has to do in following Hashem is to take that same passage, that same pasuk in Parshas Noach, Et Elokim hitalech Noach, that Noach followed the dictates of what Hashem wanted him to do. This is the root of all interpersonal relationships and mitzvot with Hashem, that we follow in those pathways. We might not at this point be the innovators like Avraham Avinu was, but at least we can be the tzaddik. At least we can get to the realm of tzaddik, where we do it, where we are hitalech, where we follow that path, lalechet bidrachav, that he set us for us, to bring us to kedusha, where we become set apart from all other living creatures. We have to say, be set aside and special, because why do we have to be kadosh? Ki ani kadosh, because Hashem says. You have to be kadosh because I am kadosh. And I want to be able to manifest that within you, the creator of this world, the creative creature in this world, in creator mode, by emulating the Kedusha of Hashem. So we do things quietly, without fanfare, because these are things that are between you and Hashem, ourselves and Hashem. In this way, we aren't making ourselves seem holier than thou, and that would make the individual feel that his or her way of saving Hashem is the best way. We shouldn't try to show anyone that we're better than they are, because just as Hashem does his work without fanfare and without shouting it from the rooftops, that's what we should do. The Rabbeinu Bechai says that Hashem spoke to Moshe at the sneh, which is that bush that didn't burn itself. It wasn't consumed by the fire, before Klal Yisrael were taken out of Mitzrayim. And that was where they had contact. Then Moshe and Hashem had contact in Mitzrayim itself. And then, as soon as the Mishkan was built, Hashem's preference was to speak to Moshe Rabbeinu privately. Hashem values privacy over flamboyance in every facet of life. In Tehillim it says, Kol kvuda bat melech pnima. That's in Mem Hey Pasuk Yud Daled. When a person owns something that's very precious, what do they do with it? They don't flaunt it. They make sure that when they put it away in a safe place where it's protected and where it's private. And Hashem doesn't want us to show gaudiness. Showiness and gaudiness is what he condemns. Hashem preferred to speak to Moshe Rabbeinu b'tzina, in privacy, in the privacy of the Almoed, rather than outside where everyone would be able to see. That is kvuda bat melech pnima. He was communing with Hashem in the same way that he was communing with Hashem in privacy. In that same way, when we do what we're supposed to do in a quiet and unassuming manner, we're doing what Hashem prizes the most. The Medrash says that the nations of the world would realize that the world responds to the needs of the Jewish people. If they would know that, they would hang on to us for life, because as the Am Hashem, Hashem would never disparage us. In truth, if we were to be erased from the face of the earth, chas v'shalom, then the earth would disappear, because there would be no reason for it to be around. So Bnei Yisrael are the ones who pull Hashem's presence into this world. And in doing mitzvot, we shouldn't shout it from the rooftops and proclaim ourselves, but rather we should behave with a measure of humility, of hakarat Hashem, recognition of Hashem, and be examples in a quiet way that would invoke the regard for us and for our deportment, the way that we behave. In Parshat Ekev, there's a similar pasuk, with one difference. The pasuk begins, Ma Hashem Elokecha sho'el me'imcha Yisrael, ve'ata Yisrael, and now, what does Hashem request from you? The difference is not only in the word, the difference in the words in Micha, as we said before, as mimcha, not me'imcha. Hashem wants it from inside of us, the quietude, the non-flamboyance. Hashem decrees and controls and has control over everything except for one element, that is a person's Yirat Hashem. What does that mean? In order for us to know what that means, we have to define it. Hakol bidei shamayim chutz miyirat shamayim. Everything Hashem decrees, except for yirat shamayim, fear of Hashem, awe, reverence of Hashem. We have, Hashem controls everything except that. However, we have a competing thought that says that Hashem created certain situations where people experience great fear, and therefore they feel Yirat Hashem. Shlomo HaMelech says in Kohelet, in Perek Gimel, chapter 3, Pasuk Daled, passage 4. And the Gemara in Brachos says that some situations that Hashem created, like thunder, some of the thunderbolts are so frightening that we have to dive under the bed to feel safe. That's when we turn to Hashem for help. So Hashem gives us help in coming to Yirat Shamayim. Then, during the Yamim Noraim that are coming up now, it says in the Tefillot of Rosh Hashanah and in the Tefillot of Yom Kippur, V'chein tein pachtecha al kol ma'asecha. And so, allow everyone to have an awareness, pachtecha. An awareness of you. Instill pachad. We translate pachad as fear. As Esther Wien pointed out in her Shir on Ekev, it pachad Yitzchak, the awareness of Yitzchak, which is, so we have a heightened awareness of Hashem's presence during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. Every day in Shachrit, we say, V'yached levavenu la'ahava u'liyirat shemecha. Unite us so that we will feel the love and the fear of your name. We invoke help from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We invoke assistance from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help us in this realm. Rabbi Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, who lived in Germany in the 19th century, and brilliant Perushim, explanations on Torah. When he first came to Frankfurt, which is where he was the Rav, there was barely a minyan, and when he was Nifter, you could find minyanim everywhere. There were hundreds and hundreds of Jews. Rav Hirsch says on this pasuk that begins the word Ve'ata Yisrael, and he contrasts it with the pasuk in Micha, which also begins with the word Adam. Micha was telling all of humanity that human beings, every human being, has to, Jews and non-Jews alike, has an obligation to recognize Hashem. And in fact, that's the first of the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, the 7 Noachide laws. Fear of Hashem, awareness of Hashem, reverence of Hashem, which means following the pathways that Hashem has set out for us, not just for Jews and non-Jews, for all the Umot HaOlam, all the nations of the world. And that leads to Yira. That leads to the Yirat HaChet and the Yirat HaRomemut. The fear of sin, which leads to Ahava, and Ahava leads to awe or reverence. So in this pasuk, Hashem directs his remarks to Klal Yisrael, to the Jewish people, and he says that at this point it's clear that all happiness in the future will depend on faithfully implementing whatever Hashem has thus far in the Torah set out for us to do. What exactly was it that Hashem was requiring that we do? It says in the pasuk, to have yira, fear for Hashem, v'lalechet bidrachav, and to walk in his ways, to love Hashem. Rav Hirsch says that these are not three distinct and separate demands, but when we have yira for Hashem, the love will follow, and therefore his dictates will come to us as a natural result. We will come to understand Yirat Hashem, which is not translated as fear, but to keep in mind that Hashem's greatness is that we can find Hashem's greatness when we follow in the footsteps, the crumbs that he leaves for us, or the footsteps that he makes and the impressions that he makes in the kaviyachol, in the snow, that we should follow in those ways. And then we will be happiest. We would, because what does the further pasuk say? D'racheha darchei noam, v'chol netivoteha shalom. The ways of Hashem are pleasant. They are beautiful. And every footstep and every pathway that we establish through the observance of Hashem's will, through the mitzvot, brings us to the ultimate feeling of shalom, of peacefulness. And that is what the Ramchal is telling us. That is the point. Ava, and let's look into the next part of the pasuk and of the Ramchal. V'hinei katuv omer, and the pasuk says, "Hein yirat Hashem hi chochma." Okay, that yirat Hashem is wisdom, and hein is a chad. Okay, we said this, and that we have to go into it and really put our minds to it and understand it. We have to put a lot of work in order to really find out what it's all about. And not through our imagination or anything that is misleading for us. And we went to the end of this paragraph that we said that, and Chassidut doesn't come to us through the ways that we had looked at before and said, somebody who says so much vidoy and so much, yes, there's a place for it, but Iyun is what we need. Hu Masha Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'ata Yisrael, Ma Hashem Elokeinu sho'el me'imcha, and we explain that. What does Hashem want from you? Ki im liyirat Hashem elokecha v'leches b'chot rachav la'avod oto, that we'll go in the pathways that he set out for us, because dracheh darchei noam v'chol netivoteh shalom, his ways are ways of that are so pleasant, and they will bring us to peace, and we will serve Hashem through keeping all of the mitzvahs, to safeguard the mitzvahs and the chukim and the moral laws that we don't understand, but for some reason Hashem has set that in place for us, and therefore we must be careful with keeping them. Kan klal kol chelkei shleimut avoda v'nirtzeit, and this is how we get to the greatest avoda that we can acquire. Behem hayira hahalicha b'drachav, because we have yira, fear of Hashem. That means that we follow in those footsteps. We get to shleimut and to shmirat hamitzvot. Hayira hi yirat romamutit barach, and now we come to yira, the true yira, the great way of the highest form of yira is the reverence that we have for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she'yira milfanav kamo she'yira milifnei melech gadol v'norah. In the same way that we would have reverence for a monarch who stands before us. V'yevosh migdulato al kol tnu'ah shehu ba lihitno'eh. and we would be careful with every movement that we make so that we don't make a wrong move. And how much more so if we involve ourselves in davening and we throw ourselves into the whole keeping the mitzvot of the Torah. ההליכה בדרכיו כולל כל עניין יושר המידות ותיקונם. Going in his ways includes all of the midot that we acquire and making them right. והוא מה שבערו זיכרונם לברכה. And this is what Chazal have said. Mahu rachum avata rachum. And this is in Gemara Shabbos 133 on the second page. Mahu chanun v'rachum avata chanun v'rachum. Just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu is gracious, chanun v'rachum, and he is compassionate, so too must we be. So we're not saying that this is a midah of Hashem and we can separate it. This is Hashem's hitnagut in this world, Hashem's conduct in this world. We look at the way that he runs the world in the same way that Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu and Yaakov Avinu were able to see that Hashem's way in this world through looking at the insect kingdom, the animal kingdom, and then applying it to the humans. We have to take that. It's the way that he manifests what he does in this world. Uklal kol zeh, and the rule of this is sheyinhag ha'adam kol midotav v'chol minei pulatav al pi hayosher v'hamusar. That a person should conduct himself through all of the characteristics that we possess and all of the actions that we do according to the correctness of the musar. What is musar? Musar is that which tethers us together. It's not giving musar rebuke, but it's what tethers us. When we follow what we see Hashem, the way that we see Hashem manifests the way he conducts the world, and we then connect to that, that's the musar. Kol shehi tiferet, so it says in Pirkei Avot, Kol shehi tiferet lo aseha, tiferet lo min ha'adam. That is what sets a person aside. By behaving in that splendor, that splendid manner, makes people sit up and take notice of that splendor, dahainu, which means kol haholech el tachlit hahatava ha'amitit, whoever follows that correct pathway, dahainu, which means shetoladeta chizuk haTorah v'tikun achvat hamedinot, that it's going to then attract the attention of the government, all those who look towards us. It will be mechazek, it will strengthen Torah, and it will engender the friendship of all of the nations of the world. And I do believe we are now caught up, because this is where we will start tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I do think. Yes. We have to do one more. We have to do Ahava, because then tomorrow we will be on the same page. Ha'ahava sheyiye nikba belev ha'adam, that love that is going to be implanted in the heart of the person, Ava elav yitbarach, is the conduit of love from Hashem. Ad shetitorer nafsho lasot nachat ruach lefanav, where one becomes comfortable in that kind of ahava. Kamo shelibo mitorer lasot nachat ruach la'aviv u'limo, in the same way that a person wants to give nachat ruach, to please, to be pleasing towards his parents, v'yitzta'er im chaser ze mitzido u'me'acherim, and becomes very upset if that's missing from the behavior of his, if it's missing from his own behavior or from others' behaviors. And he would be very happy if he is able to see it, to correct it, and to get both himself and others to recognize that ahava, that not just love, but admiration that one has for someone who is close to us, like a parent. That is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the ahava is going to come too. So the yirots first, we have to be completely and solidly nikba, implanted in that yira, so that we are going to be able to get to the stage of ahava, of admiration, of love, of wanting to follow the dictates of that person with whom we are so close. We want to emulate someone that we feel is up there, is in a position of admiration for everybody. We want to emulate that. That's ahava. And then shleimut, we'll start with tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. I hope that this was, let me just see if there's anything else that I want to say over here. Ava, okay. Let's just go through that again. That when we love Hashem in mindfulness, following his path, is the outcome of our yirat Hashem. And cognizance of Hashem by doing his mitzvahs. The upshot of this is that when we follow the mitzvot through yirat Hashem, we have the distinct feeling of Hashem's presence, which would be more akin to awe and reverence than fear, and will bring with us to the stage of love and determination to stick to the pathways that Hashem has set for us. Because each of these three stages of behaviors are incorporated into one when we understand that Shmirat HaMitzvot, keeping the mitzvot, safeguarding the mitzvot, is the key. We finish Rav Hirsch's explanation, which dovetails into the definition of yira, that the Ramchal expresses. Yirat Hashem is the root of our entire demeanor before Hashem. Our demeanor is the one thing that Hashem has left up to us. We determine the attitude we take towards Hashem and how that will help us reach the madrega, the level that we're supposed to attain. That is the one dictate, the one aspect of our lives that we are totally responsible for and will at the end of our 120 years be asked about. That's the one thing that Hashem says. It doesn't come from you, but it comes from your depth, me'imcha, from inside of you. Therefore, the fear is fear of disappointing Hashem. The quote is straight from Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, who says, Yira is the one thing out of all that Hashem gives us, and with all that he gives us, that he expects back from us to him. Again, this is one thing out of all the things that Hashem gives us, and with all that he gives us, that he expects back from us to him. The Gemara in Brachos, Lamed Gimel, on the second page, says, the only thing Hashem has in his treasury is the store of Yirat Hashem. It's the key to all knowledge. And having it completely is the aim of all knowledge. Every person who has the knowledge of Torah but has no fear of Hashem is like a treasurer who's been handed the keys to the inner chamber of this treasury, but not the key to the outer one. How then will he be able to get into the treasury and to the treasure stores? The Gemara in Shabbos, in Lamed Aleph, on the second page, says, how absurd is it for a person to make a gateway to his court when he has no court? The court is the Torah. The gate is Yirat Hashem. So Yirat Hashem is the perception that Hashem, Shiviti Hashem L'negdi Tamid, that I have set Hashem before me at all times. My perception is that Hashem is there. How silly is it to have a gate and that doesn't lead into anything or anywhere? Yirat Hashem is the pathway leading to Hashem's path, to what Hashem wants of us, the avodat Hashem, to serving Hashem with all our heart, with all our soul. And that can only be made into something concrete and real by conscientiously keeping the Torah and the mitzvot that Hashem gave us to lead us into that correct, that right direction. By keeping mitzvot, by safeguarding mitzvot that Hashem has given us as a shvil, as a mesillat, as a roadway, it gives us the wherewithal to reach the ultimate treasure house at the end of the road. Those positive and negative commands, the mitzvot, and the moral limits, the chukim, that Hashem gave us are the implements that we need to do our utmost to accomplish them. And that's what Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch says. So now we can understand why Yirat Hashem is the key to everything. When we keep Hashem before us at all times, whether we're davening, whether we're in business transactions, whether we're talking to our children, grandchildren, whether we're talking to our parents, whether we're just whiling the time away, Yirat Hashem will keep us in line. It's the key to the treasure trove. We would scrabble for that. We would dig and dig and dig to find that hidden treasure. And here we have the key to it. We don't have to dig for it. We have the key. I leave you with that thought and look forward to seeing you tomorrow night in Yesharim. Thank you.